Hey everyone, this is Ahmed, and we're going to go through the facial control for Maverick rig in this video. We're going to start with the top control where you can squash and stretch the head. You can also move the hat control. You can translate, rotate, or scale. That goes also for the rest of the hat controls. And if you move down to the eyebrows, we can translate, rotate, as well as scale. And here you can find that the eyebrows are moving along the surface. And if you don't want that, you can activate the brows attribute on the control for the eyebrows, and you can move the eyebrows in or out. So it's not necessarily sliding on the surface. Here you can even scale in one axis. And if you activate the topology, you can see how the topology looks like as the eyebrows deform. For the blinks, you can use the square control for the upper lid and for the lower lid as well. You can also use that circle control under the square control to kind of push the eyelid if you want. So you can translate, you can rotate, you can also scale. That's just for extra adjustment for the eyelids. And for the corners, you can push it around as much as you want. Mainly the corners are used to push in when we have a squint. When the eye squints, the corner of the eyes are pushed inwards. So that's where we use the corners. Now you can translate the eyeball, you can even rotate as well as scale. You can even scale in one axis. And here if you move the head, the eyes won't follow, and you can click on the eye controls and zero out follow head, and now it will follow, just basically point at the eye controls. Here you can move the eye socket through the big square control, and it will always keep sliding on the surface. You can even rotate the eye socket and you still will have your blink. And you can scale it as much as you want. Still the blinks will work and everything else will work fine. Now for the upper head control, you can rotate, you can translate, and you can scale as well. You can even scale in one axis, and when you move the eyebrows and the eyelids, still have a nice deformation here. This is the lower head. And in another tutorial, we'll talk about what's the benefit of all these controls, but you definitely need it to flesh out your animation. And here you can even use it to sculpt your character if you want. So now if we select the corner of the mouth, it's the square control, we can move the whole mouth, basically from the corners. And then when we rotate it even more, so let's say if we want to rotate it down, then we can push our smile more. And I'm only using the square controls on the corner. The circles are just for individual parts of the lips. And now this all control here, when I move it up or down or left and right, it's always sliding the whole mouth on the surface. And you can see here, all the controls try to follow the vertices as you move. Whenever you move a control, the rest of the controls will try to stay in place, basically try to stay on the same spot as it was before. So after we open the jaw, we can shape the tongue, and we can scale, rotate, and translate. Also, when we go to the center of gravity control, we can activate the teeth, the controls, and the geometry. And now we can see that the teeth here are basically rigged in a ribbon setup. So anytime you try to move the teeth around, the rest of the teeth will average and gives you a nice arc. You can take it out here, and then you can see here as we translate, rotate, and you can even scale each tooth independently. And then when you translate, you still have that averaging between the teeth. Now let's hide the teeth for now and controls in the geometry. We even go to the corners again, square corners, and we basically rotated it up. After we translated it down, we rotated it up and it pushed our frown. For now, let's not focus on the tongue. We can translate it down later. But I took the lower lips and I pushed it up a little bit to get that frown shape. And you can see here, as I move all mouth, it's still sliding on the surface. Here, the upper rectangle control for the upper lips, we can move them up and down and it will give a nice deformation for the mouth. Here, let's bring these two circles maybe closer. We get this O shape, and then when we move all mouth to the side and around, you can still see that it's moving on the surface, so it's not coming outside. Another thing also, when we get the corners of the mouth through the square controls closer, we can see that you're getting this O shape as well. And let's say if you want to have the lips pucker, if you select the big rectangle and try to rotate it, that's not going to help. But if you select the smaller rectangle inside and rotate, maybe translate outwards and scale, this will help you shape a lips. You can see here we're just trying to tweak a little bit of the scale and the translate. And now we can even activate that pucker even when he's having that, just a generic mouth closed. You can just select the small rectangle and then translate it outside and even rotate it and scale a little bit. And this way you can see that a lips is starting to form. So now the other thing is that we can close the mouth, maybe get the corners of the mouth a little bit up, maybe just basically sculpt the lips so it looks decent, and then get the corners together. And when I select the cheek control, I can scale them and can just try to sculpt it in a way that you think is nice. And you keep selecting the cheek control and all mouth, and then when you move them together, it looks as if he's chewing. So that's both the cheek controls and all mouth together selected. For the head control, I can move the head, I can scale it. And I can select the neck control all the way down here, and I can move the neck up. This way I can even scale, rotate, translate any of these controls for the neck. And I can even scale individual parts of the neck, and that can be activated through the center of gravity control. So I think that covers all the head. And in another video, we're going to go through the rest of the body and probably even add a quick tutorial of what is the benefit of using all these controls together. Thank you.